He killed his father. A curse on his people. Betraying his family in search of the truth. Awakening the evil behind the curse. Now they must race to save their people. Or die trying.
What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
In the House of Craze, we have Robert Garcia, and he's the creator of Retribution, the indie comic. Check it out.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we've never missed a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze Podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George the Dreamer Medina. What's happening, Sam?
What's happening? What's happening?
What's going on, man?
What's going on? It's going on. It's a couple of days away from the campaign.
That's right. That's right. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. This is October 29th, which means we're a couple of days away from the launch of Forbidden #3 on Kickstarter. So if you haven't yet, make sure you follow that launch page. Also, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you like indie comic book creators talking about what they do and how they do it. And if you like to learn about things that we did wrong in the independent publishing world, then subscribe, hit that like button, and comment for sure. But yeah, man, it's a couple of days away. Are you excited? Are you ready? You ready for this or what?
I'm ready. Let the others call me Eddie, but for you, with special ed because I said so. Spaghetti. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited for the campaign. This is the third installment. It's a bigger issue. It's 32 pages. Issue number 1 was 27 pages, and issue number 0 was 16. So it's gotten bigger and bigger as it went forward. And we got artist Prime Santra on the interiors. We got Anibal on the cover, myself on the cover, and John Coates sits on a variant cover. There's a lot of exciting things about this campaign, so I'm really, really stoked about it.
Yeah, no, man, it's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah, don't forget, November 1st, we're going live again, and it's the launch party for Forbidden.
Yes.
Issue number 3. And then, we're going to have a whole week of Forbidden because we're going to have some more stuff going on Wednesday when we go live on Wednesday for the show. So, yeah, join us the entire week. We're going to have shows happening the entire week, so that's going to be fun. And, yeah, man, I can't believe it's here already. It feels like just boom. It just, I don't know, a few months ago we were talking about how it's coming, and here it is now.
Yeah.
But time must fly, and, even though we're recording this in the past and now it is the present, but for us it's the future, it's still exciting that Forbidden is coming once again. So,
yeah.
And the story continues. I mean, the story gets bigger and bigger. I mean, there's more pages, right? 32 in this one. So every issue, I think it's grown.
Yeah, it's mutating. But it's getting introducing a lot of new characters in this issue. You'll see, the risk for those of you who follow along, the risks that and the sacrifices that young Starticus has made. Were they in vain? What became of him and Arius? Who is Viejo, and what is he to the story arc? David Hunter and Nacron, how are they entwined? The Overseer, what's his purpose? So you're gonna learn about a lot of different characters. It's pretty dope.
Nice.
But we also, so we do have a special guest on who had a campaign, was successful on Kickstarter. He launched it. His goal was 3,100, and he exceeded his goal, made 3,354 with 72 backers. He's going to be on the show talking about his book Retribution. So we're looking forward to that conversation today too, as well.
Yeah, man, Retribution sounds like a really cool book. Chapter 1 is a 28-page comic book kicking off a 6-issue miniseries about the intoxicating power of love and the depravity of mankind.
Yeah, the
so
artwork is cool.
There's some deep stuff going on in the book. So those are always cool, man. Because it's like, we think of comic books, we think of superheroes, and we think of capes, and we think of, but the genre is more than that. And obviously, I mean, we've known that for years. If you're in it, that there's more than that. For those outsiders, the casuals who just look at comic books as, oh, that's Spider-Man, that's Superman, that's Batman. That's not just that. There's a lot more to the genre. And a book like Retribution shows us that, Even a book like, not to toot our own horns, but a book like Forbidden teaches us that, So, yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be fun talking to him. So that's going to be great.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And, we talked about a lot of things, but I'm feeling a little feverish.
Let's do it,
I think
Let's
it's
do
time that we go get some medicine.
It's time for your medicine.
Workspace. Que eso?
Workspace. Why is it so important to have a nice, comfortable workspace for yourself as an artist, as a writer, as whatever, and creator, whatever you want to call it? I think that's something that we don't talk enough about, is how important it is to have that space for yourself. Yeah. You are a person who has moved a few times. You just made a big move to Texas from New Jersey, where in Jersey you had this big, studio. Well, yeah, I'd say big. It was a nice studio. You fit a nice long table in there, and you had the mics and you had the TVs. And then you moved to your house in Texas. Yes. And though the house is bigger and nicer, your workspace got a little smaller. So, let's talk about the importance of that workspace, Sam. Like, I think it's important. I think it's very important. What are your thoughts on the whole workspace idea?
I think it's vital to your creativity. It's vital to your success, your productivity. Because if you don't have a workspace that's going to allow you, it has to be functional. So I've become the master of creating function. So for me, anytime I designed a layout, it was about how do I maximize the space that I have to be able to do what I need to do. And without that, it's hard to be creative. It's hard for you to your output to be as consistent and effective. And so for me, I think it's everything. It provides peace of mind. It provides a place. And also, it has to be a place that inspires you, too. I think for me, like this room, the way I designed it, the way I set it up, it inspires me. And everything is in this room except for the furniture from the old studio. Everything I had at the old studio is in this room with the exception of the furniture. So, the way I laid it out was, like the podcasting setup's right here, and everything works. And behind me is the art station, right? That's where I create. And here I do social media. On this, I do all of my designs for the social media and all that stuff. But when I'm drawing over there. And on the side of me is where I handled all of the printing, labels, and packaging for the shipments and stuff like that for Kickstarters and all that stuff. So for me, it works. I can just turn boom, 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 boom. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I personally, I don't have a work. I mean, this is like you see, this workspace is not really work space. So I struggle with that. And I think that you're right. I think that when you don't have a working workspace, for lack of better terms, I think you struggle with your productivity, with your motivation to do work. and all of those things, that a good workspace allows you to be creative. Like I see you have a poster of Alf there. Alf is something that when you were younger, you were like, yo, man, I used to love Alf. You look at that, you're like, boom, let me create something. Let me write something. Behind you, you have, there's an alien in my toilet. You have Forbidden back there. Cosmic Wars, I think, is So these are motivational things that when you may be feeling down, I don't really want to work. You look at that, you're like, yeah, you know what? I need to get back to work. So I think that for any young up and coming creator, or even a creator who's been doing it for a while, I think that the importance of that workspace is something that you really have to dive into, and you really have to create some kind of workspace for yourself if you don't already have one. Because if you don't, it like for me, I have to work very hard to get myself going. Like I have to work very hard because there's nowhere to escape.
Right.
Because that's what your workspace is. This is like your man cave. This is your place where you go in there, shut the doors, and now you're in your world. I don't necessarily have that right now. You have to be self-motivated to a certain extent. And, I use you as motivation, Sam. Like I'll call you up. Yo, what are you doing? Say, Anibal, yeah, what's going on, bro? What's going on? That is the kind of motivation that I use to continue doing the work that I have to do, because when you don't have that workspace, bro, it's tough. It is hard.
It is. And you need that place that you can escape. Because I always say, being an artist, writer, and content creator, it helps to not get caught into a rut. So like when I come in here and I'm stuck on illustrations, I can go and create some ads and do some postings and whatever, or update the website. If I get stuck on that, or if I'm done with that, I'll write. So I try to flex as many muscles as possible. But I know that when I'm writing, I need to be in a quiet space. I can't be distracted, because if I'm writing something that is a series, I need at least an hour to review the previous work, like the previous stories, to get reacclimated and reintroduced to the characters and the flow of where I'm going with it. And then after that hour, 45 minutes or an hour, then I start writing. So, for me, if I'm going to write in it on a specific day, I need at least a 4-hour window, uninterrupted. Where, and for that to happen, you have to have a space that you can just escape to avoid the, honey, can you take out the trash? Or honey, can you, saying, so it's like, you got to know, like, this is my time. I have to go, and I have to be in a creative space. I think it's, without that, I couldn't be productive at all.
Yeah, no, and I think that a lot of people suffer from not having that area where they can do what they have to do. I think like that chair that you have right now behind you, I think a lot of gamers have gotten it right. They have their chair, they have their headphones, this blocks everything out from from mom asking you to go throw out the garbage if you're at home, from the wife asking you to run an errand, if you're married or whatever. That just blocks it all out, and now you're in your zone. And I think the gamers had it right. Like the gamers started that whole thing with their own mics and talking to their own family. That's their world. They're in the zone. That's what they're doing. And I think we have to look at it. We have to take it there. We have to be in our own little confined space so that we can create. Now, don't get me wrong. I also like the outdoors. So I use that as a place to create. I go outside, I grab my pen and paper and, boom, I'm writing. So
the park is a great space.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Obviously, for things like a podcast, you can't be outside. But when if you're sketching, sometimes if you want to just warm up, maybe sketch a tree or sketch a bird or something you see in nature. That's a nice way to get, it's a nice way to get the muscles flexing and stretching it out. So I think you have to do what you can to be as creative as possible. But I think when you think about, okay, where am I actually going to get this stuff done? You definitely need someplace where a space, an area, somewhere where it's just you and your art.
Yes.
And the importance of that, we can't say enough about.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I was just, It says, so I just typed in the importance of a creative space. It says a dedicated creative space allows for cross-functional project team collaborations without interruption and will house all the necessary tools and technologies to support the creative process. And again, it basically, that's what it is. So in order to be effective, like if you're a writer, what you need your tools. You need your laptop, a pen and a pad, whatever it is, you got to make sure you have that. If you're an artist, you have to make sure that you have all your pencils, your inks, your paper, your draft table. If you don't have a draft table, an easel, something that's slanted. You have to have everything within arm's reach.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is start to draw, and then you're like, oh, I ran out of lead. Oh, and now you got to start looking for, because then the frustration begins, right? Because when you're in a rhythm, and you build that momentum, the last thing you want to do is run out of supplies or be interrupted, because it takes you out of that momentum, and you need to be at peak performance when you're creating.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's something that if you don't have it, try to get it. Do what you can wherever you are, because it is tough, man. I'm telling you, it's speaking from experience. It is tough to kind of get motivated to create anything when you don't have your own little room or your own little area where you can be that person.
I've always, since I was a kid, I've always wanted my own space. I remember we lived in a house that was broken into. It was like 3 apartments. It was a house that the owners just made the first floor one apartment, and whoever had the first floor, we rented the first floor in the basement. And so while I had my own bedroom, there was this. If you went into the yard, there was this small 4-foot door in the backyard underneath my bedroom that led into this little room that you couldn't stand in, because you had to be 4 feet tall in order to stand in there. But I made that into my clubhouse and my creative space. And that's where Cosmic Gorf came from. And from in that room, it started off with a character I call Scrungy. So my mom let me create this creative space for me, and that where my friends and I hung out. And from that point on, I've always wanted my own space.
Right.
Because I realized that all of the things that I imagined came from being in that space.
It's funny because there's also, you referenced this in one of the, I think you did an episode where you were talking about from when you first started doing Crazy Comics to Forbidden Now, right? And you were talking about your influence, and one of it was that show, Too Close for Comfort. Yeah. And when I think of that show, I remember his space. Granted, it wasn't huge. It wasn't his own little office. It was almost like his bedroom, and then he had the drafting table.
Right.
But that was so cool. I remember seeing that and being like, wow, that's a cool table, man.
Yes.
And this guy is sitting there and he's drawing. Damn, that looks so cool. That was his workspace. And from there, he created, Cosmic Cow or whatever. Yeah. And, and so you saying that, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's right. He had that workspace.
Yeah. That was my introduction to a draft table when I saw his.
Right,
I was like,
yeah.
I said, that's what artists use. You know what I mean? It's like, you're fasting. Right. How can I get one of those? But that was he was my introduction into being able to do it for a living.
Right.
Because when, like I said on the show, when you're kids, you see the cartoons, you don't connect it to a human being created the cartoons. You just think the cartoons just live there and they just show up. And then when I was able to see that a human being is actually behind the creation of these projects, it's like, I want to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It became real. It became really real. And I think that's what happens when you have that area for yourself, is that it becomes real. Yeah. Now you want to buy more things for your area. You want to buy the paper to help you. You want to buy the machines that you're going to need, whether it's a tablet or whatever it is you're using to draw, or the equipment you use for the podcast and stuff. You want to fill that space now with stuff. Yeah. And I think that helps your creativity just start and go. And start,
the best thing that happened,
go in the process.
I think the best invention was the portable draft table. that you can fold up, put in your closet, take it. Because like when I was drawing that piece, the crossover piece between Forbidden and Tragedy, I was sitting in the kitchen. I put it on the kitchen table, and I was drawing in the kitchen. And drawing a cup of coffee, and then I just folded it and then slide it into a closet. I didn't have to have the draft table that took up because I don't have the space here. So I sold my draft table. I don't have the space. So, but I have the portable one, so I didn't miss a beat. You know, because I like drawing at an angle. I don't like leaning over. Well,
that's part of the tools, right?
Yes.
That's part of like the tools that you have available to you. Is that table, for example, for when you are drawing. So where do you draw normally? Do you draw in that room? You kind of pull it out, put it on top of a.
Most of the time I'm drawing digitally. If I want to sell the original art, then I'll draw a piece. Like mostly like the pinups and stuff, I'm gonna draw it on freehand. So I'll just go downstairs. The lighting is amazing in the kitchen, and you know, and I have the big screen TV, and usually I put on a big screen TV. Ocean, just like you just see fish and turtles swimming, and it's just like spa music in the background, and helps me just focus. And so when I want to do anything freehand, I'll go downstairs. Up here I have my Wacom tablet when I'm going to do anything digital. Okay.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. But yeah, no, that's I think that's important. So if anybody takes anything from this episode, is to make sure you get out there and, you know, get yourself a little workspace for yourself so you can, you know, finish that comic book or that script that you're writing.
And now, mind you, not everybody's in a position to be able to have that. And I can tell you this.
Nope.
I can tell you this. The early days of the craze, we used to meet at Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
To create and to collaborate and brainstorm and exchange ideas. Catherine Gibbs. We met at the schools. We met at Mercy College. You know, anywhere that we could get a space, we found libraries, whatever it was. So you might not be in a position where you can do that at home, but you can always find a way, a workaround. Yeah, it might not be ideal, but at least it'll provide you the space and serenity to gain focus and give you that moment to be able to do what you do best.
Yeah, definitely don't think, oh, well, I can't get that, so I guess what, I won't be able to write anything.
Right.
Nah, you can definitely find a place to go. It probably just won't be, you know, your home. Maybe you don't have the space or whatever. But I mean, I'll take a trip down to Mercy College and get into the, you know, go to the library and do what I got to do there, or find a nice little bench on a nearby park and sit out there in nice weather. So there are ways. There are definitely ways to get your stuff done. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're getting here with our Get Your Meds segment for today. Yeah. Is make sure that you find yourself a little workspace and get your stuff going.
Yeah, get yourself going, and you know, and I think that the biggest part of it, and have fun doing it.
Yeah,
you know,
no, big time. Definitely.
But again, in order for that to work, the people around you have to respect that time that you're making for yourself. So it's not gonna mean anything if your family's not respecting your craft. So you got to make sure you have that buy-in.
System.
So with that said, we have our guests in the reading room. So again, you know that we are a platform, and this isn't free, but we provide a platform for you to promote your stuff. And so if you have a show that you're going to go to, if you have a Kickstarter campaign you want to promote, why not sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze? It's cheap, it's easy, it's affordable. And I'm done telling you about it. Why not see this?
Are you sitting at home wondering how you're going to spread the word about that Comic-Con that you're about to appear at, and you want to get some press? How about your first book signing? How do you spread the word so you can get an audience there? Or that first panel at a Comic-Con? Who do you talk to? Or even your first crowdfunding on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. The world is turning to podcasting to get the word out. Why not you? Sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze and start promoting yourself today.
right, we're bringing in our guest. Welcome to Catch the Craze. Thank you for choosing Catch the Craze as your platform to promote who you are and what you do. So, who are you and what do you do?
My name is R. Robert Garcia. First name's Raul, but I rarely use it because people butcher it. Anyway, long story short, I am the writer and creator of Retribution, and so it's a comic that just went out. We had a successful Kickstarter, which is really cool.
Yes.
And so everybody, and I'll send you guys a copy once it's been printed. So we're a couple days away from sending it over to print, but that is kind of what I'm doing right now. I've just had this story in my mind for years. It deals a lot with like mental issues, deals a lot with just, I hate saying it this way, but just pain, everyday life, probably a little bit more than everyday life. I just found out that I have to put a mature rating on it, so that
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. I guess I'm messed up mentally because I didn't think it was that big of an issue. But sent that out to a friend, and they read it, and they said within the first couple of pages they had a "what the bleep" type reaction to the comic. So I was like, yeah, sorry.
Nah, all right, okay. Yeah, no, I was reading through because this story was you had a Kickstarter for it. I was reading through the campaign, and you actually donated 10% of what was made to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So that was awesome. I mean, I was talking to Sam prior to you coming on the show, and we're talking about retribution and what it was about, and how people have this misconception that comic books just have to be about superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Capes and all that other stuff, but the genre and the platform that we have, we can do whatever we want because we're independent artists. We can write about whatever we want. What led you, other than maybe your own personal issues, what sparked the idea for the story so many years ago?
So it was personal trauma. I mean, I think like everybody in life, we've all gone through our ups and downs. Some of us have been dragged a little bit more through the mud than others, and that was just one of the things. Suicide has been something that I've had happen with friends. It's been, it's kind of hard to talk about, but I wouldn't say suicidal, but one of those things where you just wake up in life all the time and you're like, oh damn, I woke up, because you're just, when you go to sleep, you're just hoping not to be waking up. So this actually was a book that I had been writing. And I was a big avid comic book fan when I was a kid. Walt Simonson to me is a GOAT. I know Jack Kirby's a GOAT, but Walt Simonson was the guy that really touched me with the stories and really got me involved, and let you know how old I am. So we're talking back in the 80s. And so I was really into comics, really love comic art specifically. But then, you do the whole thing, you get married, you have kids and all that. And I kind of separated from comic books for a while. So within the last 10 years, I started collecting again, really starting reading into it. And I kept thinking this story that I had been basically building over, I had written this chapter, that chapter, and just trying to put all these chapters together for like the last, I want to say 15, 20 years maybe. Wow. I thought, why not change it into a medium that I love? And I love the artwork. And I got a killer artist. I mean, she is just phenomenal. And so I decided, hey, let's put this on a comic art. I wouldn't call my character a hero, anti-hero. I would just call this a person who is struggled through life and now given this new opportunity is trying to figure out how he's going to move forward in that direction. So it deals a lot with just the darkest aspects of life itself. It is very gritty, very very I just lost his name, and I paid homage to him because I love the black and white and I love the color. Oh, help me out here! He did Dark Knight. He did
Frank Miller.
Thank you, Frank Miller. And so I wanted that gritty, dirty look to it, just where it just really captures you. And so that's just how this whole thing came along. So I started transitioning into a comic form about 2 years ago. And so this last year is when it really took off because I went through some trial and errors with a couple of other artists and it just didn't seem like it was hitting right. And I found my artist over in Italy, and she has just been awesome. And she has just taken this character that I've had in my mind. And it was funny because actually the facial structure and the pattern on his head is actually something that I've had since like junior high. It just used to be this face I used to draw all the time, and it was kind of like a question mark, like you question yourself, you questioned your existence, and so on. So she was able to take that character and really bring it to life, and it's just been a great experience.
Oh man, it's really great artwork. Like the artwork is just phenomenal.
She's awesome. She's insane.
Yeah. The character design itself, was that something you had input in? Like you said, you had been drawing that face. Is that what you were saying? That particular face, or was it the face of the character? Or tell us about the creation of the character itself and the look of the character.
So when I was young, I used to draw a lot, and like everybody else, it's awesome to draw Spider-Man, but then when you have to draw the face, you kind of suck, and so you stick back with Spider-Man and his two eyes, and you go with that easy artwork. So the character was always there, and I'm a big sci-fi guy, and I'm a huge movie guy, and so and I'm talking. I was watching Netflix yesterday and looking at the old horror movies, like Halloween and all those, and I loved Hellraiser, and I love like Jacob's Ladder. I like movies that just really mess with your mind and just leave you kind of like exhausted after you watch the movie. And so that was kind of the character that I wanted, but I'm also a huge sci-fi fan. And so this is a 6-parter right now. So this is the first part, but as this transitions, because I actually have about 16 books already in my head as far as like how this all goes. Right. And so I wanted to tie sci-fi into it. So as the story goes and it develops, you'll see where all that comes from. But it just, it's a character that I had a very big input in. And that's why I went through so many different artists. And, Julie is just phenomenal. I also have another buddy of mine, Rodney Ford, who has just added just some coolness to it and just making him, I guess, more comic-like, I would say in some ways. So he adds some extra art, like on the inside covers and things like that. Because that, for me, I'm not trying to put down writers because I think of myself one, and I've written other books, and I have some history in other genres like sports and all that. But it's all about the art. Comic books to me, I buy variant covers just for the cover. I don't know how many comics I have. I never read, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, I gotta love the cover.
What are some of your favorite variant covers, Rob? Just to...
Oh my God, what's his name? Scan, and I'm bad with names. I mean, guys, I'm 50 plus now. I've raised 2 kids. Like every brain cell in here is fried, and I didn't even really do like illegal drugs. It's more the legal drugs that have fried the brain.
Nice.
But yeah, like Walt Simon, anytime Walt Simonson comes out with something, it's boom.
That's it.
Todd Mcfarlane. I mean, from my era, like Todd McFarlane was just a guy who took everything to that next level. When he started doing Spider-Man, and then when he did the Hulk, the way he depicted these characters was just insane. And I love Jack Kirby because sadly I'm almost old enough to like be in that era too. But those artists, and now, Olivier Copiel, I mean, the way he draws, there's so many people, and I think the majority of people I follow on Instagram is strictly for their art. Like, I'll be going through stuff, I'll see some, awesome depiction of whatever character or their own character, boom, follow, because I just love seeing all that. So, with the variant covers, it's, I think somebody you guys interviewed, Dan Price for Big Fat Nose Karate. I just bought the variant cover it went live today. So I jumped in there and bought this really cool variant cover that he had. But anything with, and I messed up his name, Scan. It's Scan Skisgard or something like that. He, I have something of his like right on here, but I don't want to jump out of frame here. But yeah, he's somebody I'll collect, and as I mentioned, Simonson. And there's just a bunch of them because I love the art big time.
Nice. I hear you. I saw in your bio you did some sports writing. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan. How did you I guess get into sports writing, and how did you get out of it? I mean, what was that whole part of your career like?
So I actually spent about, and I still do radio, and I do like college football, pro football. My background was all about the NFL draft, so I had written some NFL draft books. Met Mel Kiper so many years ago.
Nice.
It wasn't that great, but anyway. But it was funny because my love of comic art developed this new obsession that I had when I watch sports, because I would watch games, and it was funny because I would get so transfixed on a player, and I would sit there and look at his body, and then I really got into analyzing players physically. You look at the high calves, this, that, arm length, just, NBA players, hockey players. I watch sports more now, not so much for the result of the game or for what's going on. I want to see like these people who stand out, and I love watching the physicality of what the body can do. Right. And so that was all just from when I was young. I used to draw bodies all the time, and not just naked women, but I used to draw bodies all the time in elementary and in junior high, because I was just obsessed with the human body. Yeah, and so that's what led me. I mean, that's kind of what led me into sports, was following the NFL draft started following in '87. And then I guess my career kind of launched in the mid '90s, because I did my first draft book in '94, '95, and then '96, and then just started doing radio gigs, throughout like Southwest. And I still do stuff out in Florida, still do stuff out the West, and it was cool. It was a painstaking progress, because back then I did my own book. Right. Paid for the printers, laid it all out, contacted all these schools across the country, got photos of all these players. Literally would deliver all the books to. I sold them at a bunch of gas stations throughout the Southwest, like Phoenix, Albuquerque, El Paso, and would have to drive to all these places, drop off the books, pick them up, and so on. Yeah, and it was. I just, because I was really obsessed with the draft, and I've just always been obsessed with what the human body can do physically. And to me, honestly, that just came out of my love of comics, and just just the physical body and the way it's illustrated.
Yeah, it's almost because they're superhuman, almost, like these guys. Like some of the things that they can do is just things that us regular folk can't do. Like you look at a guy like, for example, in the NFL, DK Metcalf, who is the fastest. When you look at some of the things that man can do, it's like, this guy's huge, but he runs like he's a little guy. Like, it is the freakiest thing to watch. So I can understand why you would look at those, human beings and say, damn, these are like superheroes. And so you did that for a few years, and then you jumped into writing comics from just your love from the comics back in the days? Or was there like a comic book that you started picking up that made you say, you know what? I have a story and I want to write it, and I'm going to write it this way?
No, it was, like I said, I had the story because I had written, kind of a personal story just about trials, tribulation, abusive father, these things that had gone on through life, a lot of tragic things that I've seen. Okay, so here's another can to open here. So I also spent about 11 years in TV. So I worked as a reporter, covered a lot of crime, and you go to a lot of crime scenes, and I hate saying it this way, but you see a lot of dead bodies. Oh, yeah. And so, having to go to a courthouse, sitting there, you're pulling all the police reports, you're seeing like what's the worst thing that happened that day, and then you got to try to go cover that story. Or you get a live incident where a spouse just shot his wife, and you show up there, or you see a drowning, and you see them pull the guy out of the water, and his body's bloated, and this and that, and you see those things. And so that, I hate to say it, it kind of just tied into like what I had always been so fascinated in growing up. So I had written this book, and it just had to deal with a lot of just personal trauma, life trauma experiences, and so on. But when I got back into comics about 10 years ago, that's what started influencing me in the sense that, hey, why don't I take this book that I have and let's turn it into a comic and create a character that can illustrate that type of pain that so many humans go through, but yet maybe we can add some redeeming qualities, or maybe he won't have redeeming qualities, or, just take him down that path. And I would say somewhat like Spawn in a sense. Spawn was, it's a little different. Spawn's military guy. This guy's got no military background. I mean, he's just a basic dude who just really couldn't even move forward in life. So it's a different background in that sense, but it's dark and it's edgy, kind of like what Todd Mcfarlane has done with Spawn.
So I have a question. When you mentally made that decision, I'm going this route, I'm going to go into comics, what was the first thing you had to do, and what was the things that you had to overcome in order to break into it?
The biggest thing is taking a story which has been written, traditional book style, and now trying to flip it over to a comic. And this comic is written in a first narration, which is also a lot tougher, because it's not about this person and this person. It's really, we're just going down the life of this guy R, and we're just seeing what's going on in his head, what he's encountering, and and that's just kind of that journey. So it's for it's a first narration, and that was harder to write than I thought it was going to be. And then the one thing that I have loved about this experience is when I started getting the artwork back. So Julia would send me back a page, and I'd be like, boom, mind blown. And then I'd be like, man, what I wrote was crap. I've got to make it better to fit these illustrations. And it was awesome because that did inspire so much. And I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but I really want to make sure that the story is coming through and that people are going to be able to grasp it, because this isn't about making money. I mean, and I'm not wealthy at all, but it's about, I really want to tell this story. I mean, it's really important for me to get the story out there. It's really important for me to be able to do things, like I said, donate money, not just to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, but I'd like to also get it to, to veterans, because we know 22 veterans a day commit suicide. I mean, there's so many people that can use our help. And I love the fact that it seems like our country at least is trending more to where we're so much more open about talking about mental health and helping each other out. And so that's, what I want to do with this project, because at least with my draft books, I broke even. I'm not breaking even on this first one. It's
it's interesting. It's interesting you talk about mental health and how today it's something, it's normalized more so, where even going back to the sports, back when you were writing about sports in the 90s especially, you couldn't say you had a mental problem as an athlete.
No.
That was like, okay, let's attack this guy. He's
Taboo.
weak. Let's get him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Whereas now it's more, Kevin Love can come out and say he's got an issue. And I think that's something that even in comics, we can now do that and help people who maybe are going through that and have no idea how to handle it. I think that, and I commend you, because that it's a tough topic to talk about, and it's an even harder topic to write about and make it make sense. I want to say, I don't know if that makes any sense, but are you, so now this book is, I was reading, it's the first 28 pages. Now it's going to be, you say you have a lot more stories to tell on it. Are you continuing it, or how far along are you in the process of creating the story?
Yeah, so the first 6 issues are basically written, and Julie goes crazy, but basically she sends me something, and then I'll kind of rewrite a little bit and ask her, okay, we need to add a page here, add a page there, because we actually made this one shorter, because I just want this to be like an introductory into the psychosis, because it is somewhat of a psychotic book. It also kind of deals with him. Is he talking to himself? Is he talking to somebody else? Like, where is this person's mindset? And as it continues to grow, that's what's just really gonna be expanded on more and more. And the fact that, it's like one of the simplest things for some of us who've gone through that. You grow up, you can't cry, you're a boy, you can't do this, you can't do that. And so you grow up in life and you actually don't cry, and you sit here, and I can, I'm like, wow, it's been 13 years and I don't remember the last time I cried. But then you start having these issues where, you're watching a movie that there's nothing bad with it at all or whatever, and you see a cat die, and all of a sudden you get choked up. You're like, what's going on? It's like, what's happening in my psychosis? What's going on in my mind? And so that's just kind of like the journey that I'm trying to take with this character, because the story's based in the state of Texas, and it is very much from what I know, from what I've seen, and what I've had to deal with through my experiences working as a reporter, also in radio, and just everyday life, and abusive father, just different types of abuses and backgrounds, different types of harassment, things like that those of us again who are a little bit older have just bottled up, and you can't keep jamming stuff into a bottle, because eventually that bottle's going to break. And so that's just kind of like what I'm trying to achieve here in this story is let's watch this guy break, and then let's see, can he put himself back together, or do we just go into a world where he just becomes some kind of crazy mass murderer,
Right. So what do you find the most challenging navigating in this space of comic book making?
I would just say just really trying to, for me, I want to have the writing hit the level of the art, and I don't feel like I oversell the artwork that Julia has done, because there, you look at some of these pages and there is some really nasty brutality going on, and literally ripping up a body, and for her to be able to bring that across and really try to write and get that emotion in that moment, but also make sure that we understand the mindset of the person who's doing it. I think that's been the toughest part, and just the amount of edits. It's like edit, and I've got an editor, and she's fantastic as well. And I even get insecure, and I'll be like, so how bad am I when it comes to writers? Like how? And she's like, you're not bad. She's like, I'd say you're about above average when it comes to wanting to re-edit stuff. Right. But I think that is just really being able to translate the verbiage into the comic so it matches what somebody's seeing visually, because it's not it's not something where you're reading and you're imagining it in your head. You're being presented that visual medium, so you want to make sure that the dialogue that goes along with it captures the emotion and captures just the passion in that page.
Nice. So what do you design your websites? Do you do all of that stuff, or
Yeah. And it's been really interesting because back in the old day when I did the draft books, it was just about boom, you lay them down, take them to the printers, and now just go deliver them. And now since we have so many different avenues of media that we work in, I am setting up. I'm opening up a website where people can buy the back issues. We'll offer other stuff because I really want to get the artwork out there, because I really want people to hopefully just buy into just the look of the character. I've got junk all up on my walls everywhere because it's funny, even Funkos. Like I don't know how I've become this Funko obsessed person, but I buy those things and I like that. I want to have that artwork, and so I see everybody doing shirts, cups, this, that, and I want to be able to present that. So I'm in the process right now of finalizing that webpage, because once the book comes out, then I'm going to launch the webpage so people can jump in there, and just I want to do prints. I want to just do different things, and it's been nice because I've been able to work with all different types of artists. I had 4 different varying covers on here, from Kevin Keane, who actually worked on Spawn, and he's done some work for Todd Mcfarlane. He's also done some work for he's working on the new Nova that's going to be coming out with Marvel. And he if you look at his Instagram page, black, white, just gritty, super gritty. And then I found another gal who's over in London, and I just loved her page because it says, I draw about babes and blood, and I'm like, oh, you got me. So it's like, and she draws these depictions that I think a lot of people would be like, but they're awesome. And right. And like I said, Rodney Ford, who's out of Atlanta, and he's just got almost like a anime McFarlane style, and you get all the weird angles and the arms coming out at you and so on, and so I just want to be able to help them, especially Kevin's established, but some of the other people really get their artwork out there, because and obviously through my character, and I have a lot of fun like seeing what they draw, and then they send me those things. So
yeah, nice. There's something about getting that new page from that artist, right?
Oh, showing it's like the best feeling in the world.
It really is. It's like Christmas every time you open up an email from these guys. Yeah, no, absolutely. And this artwork is incredible. Are you planning on doing any more crowdfunding campaigns for the book, or what are the plans for it?
Yeah, that is what we're looking for, because I think the next Kickstarter, this is all about trying to learn on your own too. Everybody says don't launch in November and December, so it looks like, because the book is already written, and Julia's great about like how quick she can turn out these pages. She does great work, but I think I'm going to wait until the new year and then launch the second one, and I really want to do a better job myself of presenting the campaign and really getting some publicity out there, because we gave the National Suicide Hotline, National Suicide Prevention Hotline, a little bit over $300, which is it's nice, but I want to make a bigger impact. Yeah. To me, I really want to just gather as many people as we can behind this, because it's not about making money. It's about being able to pay what we've done, pay the artists that we've got to pay, and do all that, but just for me, it's just about, I just want people to read and appreciate the story. Yeah. But the biggest thing is I also want to try to do some good out of this and really be able to, go from, like I said, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, start sending money to veterans, doing whatever we can to try to make a difference out there and just, help other people.
Yeah. Right. Well, you're definitely going to have to let me know when that comes out, because I definitely want to pick up that. And if anybody wants to pick up that first issue, you're saying you're working on the website now. When do you think we would be able to get something like that?
November. November. Yeah, because that's when we're going to send all the books out, and I'm going to offer all the different variant covers on there. And I would love to send you guys copies just so you can read it, give me your thoughts and opinions, because that's the biggest thing is that I as you learn when I work in TV, any kind of reaction is a good reaction, whether it be negative, whether it be positive. And like I said, the guy that I sent I let him go in there and read all the pages that we had on file, and it cracked me up because I've had other people read it, and Julia's read it, and Nicole is my editor, and it cracked me up that a guy had a bigger response to it, like, what the? It's like, you need to put a mature rating on this. And I was like, oh, okay, I will. It's like, so, it cracked me. It took a guy to tell me, dude, you're writing some messed up stuff. Let's put a big old M on that. So I think that was the coolest thing about his reaction.
Oh, man. Well, Rob, tell us where we can find you. How do we follow you? How do we, keep up with some of your work? Give us some of your social handles, your website, and all that good information.
Okay, so again, just solely Instagram, and it's cheesy.comics. And then when I get the website up, I'll put it on there, but the website I think is going to be Cheesy Comics Shop. Oh yeah, the Cheesy Comics Shop. I forget the name of my own. Now you know why I'm in the position that I'm at. I need a publicist. I need somebody to help me market, because I'm just so wrapped up in my little story that I forget you've got to do all these other things. But it's going to be Cheesy Comics with an S shop.com, and that's where we'll have all the the comics, and we'll do t-shirts, anything anybody wants. These days it's so cool because you can just slap that that illustration on a cup, you can slap it on a shirt, you can put it on anything. So we'll offer a bunch of stuff to get people in.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I love the character design. It actually reminds me, there was a comic book back in the 90s that Marvel came out with called Sleepwalker. Mm-hmm, yes. And he's
Nicole,
got
talk to me about that. Yeah.
yeah. He's got that look, and I really enjoyed that. It's one of those books that I don't think too many people know about, but I used to read it, and it was a really cool kind of dark book. Like it was about it was about insomnia, so it was like it was kind of interesting. But it does remind me of that. I love the look. I love the black and white with the reds. Yeah. The
Frank Miller.
The Frank Miller. Yeah, the Frank Miller influence. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, man. And good luck with everything that you're doing. I really love the message and what you're doing. Something totally different.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And my big thing is, again, I just want to hopefully get people interested and connected with the story, and hopefully we can have some good come out of it.
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show, and
thanks, Sam.
Yes, and we'll be in touch.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Rob. Take care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Okay, and that was Mr. Garcia. I mean, he's done a lot.
Yes.
He's done a lot. It's pretty dope. It's funny how
really
somehow your calling winds up rising to the top, is like oil rises to the surface. And, he's wanted to do something creative, and, it's good to see. But we were talking about, writing and how sometimes you want to perfect everything and you want to go back. We have an episode coming up about rewriting. That would have been good for this segment, but But so it's pretty interesting. The artwork is fire. The artwork is awesome.
Oh my God, Julia Gualazzi, holy cow, dude!
Killing it.
Oh my God, it's like, geez, how much do you charge? This is amazing.
Yeah, it's really good stuff, man. And he's working with some really talented people in the industry. Yeah. So he has a good plan, a good strategy. He's put a lot of thought into it, and he's got a lot of energy himself. So I see. And he had a successful campaign too. So.
Yeah, over $3,300, man.
Yeah.
So that's good, and you know he wants to give back. You know, it's not just you know trying to make money for himself. He's trying to do something positive with a very tough message, a very tough topic to talk about. You know, so kudos to him, man. Yeah, no, that was great. That was great.
Absolutely. So if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions for our guest, put them in the comment section. We'll make sure to redirect it to him. And like, subscribe, share it with a friend. If you haven't subscribed to Catch the Craze, please do so, because for every guest that we have on the show, every new person, every new subscriber, that's another person that they're getting exposure to with their products. So the more we grow, the more our guests get to grow and expand their reach. And we appreciate every single one of you. With that said, don't forget, Forbidden, November 1st, in a couple days. Join us on Monday for the live launch. And 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have some really good stuff coming down the pipe for this campaign. So if you haven't signed up on Forbidden on Kickstarter, sign up now, and you know, I hope to see you in the live launch party. With that said, anything from you?
Yeah, just make sure that you are following me on Webtoons. Russ5377's on there. Make sure that if you are on Instagram, you go follow the Adventures of Wonder Duck page that's on there. And make sure that you stay tuned for more news on the Crazies coming next year. And there's an Alien in My Toilet's coming. So, you know, we have a lot of things down the pike. So make sure you are looking out for a lot of that stuff.
A whole lot of stuff. With that said, I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Dreamer Medina.
And we are...
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I met him Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh, Lord.
He described me. He said, I'm the...
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. On Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.